Welcome back to Love That. I am so excited to be back on the pod, you guys, back behind the mic where I am meant to be. Oh, I'm so excited. And I've just missed this. I've missed this space. I've missed chatting with you guys. We're on YouTube, at least trying it for now, seeing how it's going to go. I'm just like, is there another way for me to say I'm so excited? I'm just so excited. I'm so excited. Like, that's it. I'm just so excited. I am back in a completely different season of my life, like completely different. Just saying. I have a new job. I live in a new state. I have graduated college. And literally, it's been a year since I've talked to you guys, and quite literally almost everything in my life has changed. I am still in a beautiful, amazing marriage. I still have an incredible family and I still have amazing friends, but pretty much everything else about my life, completely different. So we're back and we're doing this thing, and new seasons, new pod. I mean, the podcast is the same name and everything like that, but I am excited to change things up a little bit around here. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I actually know we're going to have a lot of fun. Before I get into everything, I just want to say thank you guys so much for continuously reaching out to me about this show. It's been a year since I ghosted you guys, and you have all been so supportive, so in my DMs being like, girl, where is the podcast? Like, what happened? It's time to come back. And I really appreciate the ongoing support. Even a year later, I'm getting DMs being like, so excited for whenever the podcast is coming back. And that kind of encouragement just has like so kept the podcast on the forefront of my mind. And I want to get into a little bit of why I stopped and what held me back from starting earlier than literally a whole entire year later. But I'm not going to get too much into the details because the past is the past. And this is about good vibes and moving forward. But there has been a lot of change in my life. And I felt like I needed to have it all figured out before I could come back to this space. And a lot of things changed without necessarily like our desire for it to change. It was kind of like forced change in our life. And because of that, the past year was like really tough for us. And I wanted to come to this space being like, oh, here's all of the amazing things going on, which there are so many amazing things going on. But I wanted to be like able to talk about the things that had happened in the past with like the hindsight 2020 vision for like how many things have changed and in such a good way. And those things have happened, and we're on our way to feeling settled again and feeling like, you know, we're in California now, we're getting our groove on, we're in a transition of where we're living and stuff like that. But it's still not all completely figured out. And I just kept pushing this off and off because I'm like, oh, I just want to do it when this. I want to like be able to talk about this. And I'm realizing now that that's so boring. First of all, nobody wants to listen to the story after like you've already arrived. Like when you think about like a true crime podcast, for example, like you don't listen to it because at the end they tell you exactly what happened. You listen to it like because you're like on the journey of discovering, not necessarily like I need to know literally right now what happens. It's like so much more interesting to listen to the journey. And I totally left you guys out of the loop on my journey because I was out here trying to arrive at my destination before coming back to the space. And I kind of regret that, but you know what? It's all good. I took so much space to like dream about the podcast and think about where I wanted it to go moving forward. And I am just so excited to be back in this space and to just be like overall in a just general better mental space because my life isn't in shambles. So there is the benefit there, but there is just not going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect time for certain things to happen in life. There's never going to be a perfect time for me to come back to the podcast and it be like, yep, here's all of the reasons why this is the perfect exact time for me to come back. The perfect time is whenever it's time, like whatever life looks like, it is time for me to like take the step and just come back to the podcast. So now I am back and honestly, hopefully better than ever. I've already recorded an episode or two, and I think that they're really good and way better than season 1. So I really hope that you guys, we're just calling that season 1, by the way. I know we didn't put a bow on it, but we are calling it season 1, and we're just going to make that nice, pretty package of season 1, even though it had no ending. And this is season 2. So welcome to season 2 of Love That. And I'm really excited for interviews that I have planned for this season and just the way that I'm going about the podcast. We're going to get a lot more real around here. We're going to have a lot more fun conversations. I'm going to do some more solo episodes, which I'm really excited about, and also have some really fun interviews on. So I'm just thinking that this is going to be a really good reset for the podcast. And I am so happy you guys are just down with it. Like, I already know you guys are going to be down with it. You already are telling me on Instagram, like, how pumped you are. So that makes me so happy. But yeah, I think that one of the things that I wanted to touch on before we get into the season is that I definitely have been in a space where I've been talking a lot about doing this. And it feels similarly to when I was starting the podcast. I had talked for years about wanting to start a podcast. And then all it took was me actually doing something about it and starting the podcast. And it went extremely well, if I do say so myself, until we stop. We're just going to package that in season 1. Okay. But anyway, it just took me actually doing something. And I feel like for the past like 6 months, because the first 6 months I would say were really intentional of me not being in this space. But the past 6 months or so, I've been talking about bringing the show back and been asking you guys on Instagram, like what you want, and just getting super excited about it. And, continuing to call myself a podcaster and just not doing anything. And with all of the craziness and change that happened in my life, I think that the only thing holding me back from doing this and from coming back to this space was myself. Regardless of anything that changed in my life, it was me. And it's just been like a very big thing for me the past like few months that I've been thinking about is I want to take charge of my own life again. And obviously, like, God is in absolute charge of my life and has like the best plan for my life. And so I'm always leaning into that. But when I say that I want to take charge of my life again, I just mean like, I don't want to let other things dictate what I want to do with my life. And for the past 6 months to a year, I have been allowing my life circumstances to dictate what I am doing with my life and how I'm showing up. And there was always an excuse of like, even in more than just the podcast, like in my fitness, for example, like we were living over the past 6 months, we've lived in 3 different homes, 2 of them with other people. And I always was saying like, well, once we have our own space, I'm going to like get back into routine, but I just can't really get in routine here because it's not my own space. And then now that we're here in our own space, it's like, I was still finding an excuse of like, well, I have this new job and I really want to put my energy there. And so I can't get back into my fitness routine and stuff like that. And I just always had some sort of life circumstance that was in control of what I really wanted for my life. And so where I'm at right now is just learning like, what is in my control and what am I giving away control to things that don't deserve control? So like whether it's that I am deciding to spend my time scrolling social media instead of showing up here and doing the podcast that I love and really enjoy, or am I like, I mean, social media is just such a huge thing for me right now. And I'm going to make an entire episode about that. But for me, it's like, am I scrolling the internet and then saying, I wish I had time to read that book? Or am I so invested in someone else's life that I am like not showing up for myself, you know? So like there's all of these things that I was allowing to take charge over my life. I was giving away control that was mine to have. And so I'm taking that back, and I am going to show up for myself and do the things that I feel like I am made to do, and stop allowing my life circumstances to dictate what I am doing for myself, for what I feel like God is asking me to do and what he's called me to do. I just like am really, really looking forward to stepping back into power over my life. And again, like partnering with, because my faith is such a big part of my life, but like partnering with God in like what I feel I am called to do and supposed to be doing, and actually allowing myself to do that instead of continuing to like let life circumstances make excuses. So that's kind of what I'm learning right now. I'm realizing that I jumped right into this and I did not do my what I'm loving. And that is something that is sticking with us in season 2, is that what I'm loving is going to continue to be part of the show. So in a very, very not smooth transition, I'm going to transition to what I'm loving. And what I'm loving is my Kindle right now. I have a Kindle Paperwhite. It has been amazing. I have always struggled with reading in bed and like being on my phone before bed. And I'm really trying to take some distance from my phone. And I've always really struggled with like, how am I supposed to read in bed though? Because I don't want like the lights on. I'm really sensitive to light when I'm sleeping and stuff like that. And I would buy books and never finish them because it didn't make sense for me to read in bed. But if I was on the couch, I was going to watch TV. So the Kindle Paperwhite has solved all my problems. Like quite literally it has. I just got it, like I got it for, I think, Christmas. So I've had it for like almost 6 months now. Oh my gosh. No. 7 months. It's almost July. Wow. Anyways, I've had it for so long, and now it's like literally like clockwork. I get in bed, I open my Kindle Paperwhite. There is no yellow light harshing my vibe with my eyes. Harshing my vibe with my eyes. But no, there's no like yellow light or blue light in my face keeping me awake. And it's just like the most seamless thing. I'm sleeping a million times better because of it. And you guys can go look at my Amazon storefront to see like all the books I've been reading if you want. It's linked in my Instagram. But yeah, so that's my what I'm loving. And I'm just so freaking pumped to tell you guys what I'm loving every week. Housekeeping things. We're changing the show to Wednesdays. I've been going back and forth between Wednesdays and Thursdays, and I just said it out loud right now. We're changing the show to Wednesdays. So every Wednesday, a new episode will come out. I think I'm going to try and start with a solo interview kind of agenda, calendar, process. What is the word I am looking for? Routine, maybe. I'm going to try and like switch it up every week and have a little bit of a different vibe every week. And stay tuned for some really cool interviews, guys. And I think that's all of like the little housekeeping pieces I have for you. And thanks so much for listening. That it feels weird just like dropping off right here, but I don't really want these episodes to be like super, super long. So I'm just going to drop off here. I think I got everything out that I need to say. And I'm sorry if you came for the tea about the past year of my life. I will not be dropping any tea. If you know, you know, and that's that on that. Please rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts, subscribe on wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify specifically, because they be popping off with their podcast lately. Thank you, Alex Cooper. And yeah, subscribe on YouTube. That's a really fun thing to say. I love you guys. And thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for still showing up to this space. I promise to show up for you as well. And Love you guys. I need to think of a cute send off. Tell me if you guys think of a cute send off for me. But for now, I'm just going to say, I love you guys. See you next week and listen to you next week. Hear you next week. Talk to you next week. That's what I was looking for. All right. Bye, guys.